Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, we're talking about the importance of working out, what it means for the family, what it means for you, your personal health. I'll skip that one because, it's probably a bit of one of those. Being a complete disaster, that's always fun to talk about. And family activities, it's the holidays at this point in time, or at time of recording, it's the holidays. So doing stuff together as a family. Movies galore, nothing else apart from computer games, I'm afraid. So if you're here for movies and computer games, we've got you covered. Anything else? Not so much. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. You know the one we like. Share that puppy around. If you think somebody else would appreciate this, please do share the podcast. It means a lot to us, and it helps us to bring more podcasts your way. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello, how are you doing? I have possibly the smallest list of things to talk about this week. How are you? Are you well? Are you good? How's life treating you? Good? Well? Yes? No? No? Yes? When you're like, I've got nothing to talk about. Oh, I forgot to add this. Yeah, that'll do. I'll remember. Good one. I absolutely won't remember. I'll forget immediately. I had to add something to the list yesterday, purely on the. Definitely going to forget what that means, and it's definitely not a subject to forget. Are you well? I have to presume you said yes. If you didn't, drop me a line. Let's chat. Oh, there's something in my drink. There. Almost isn't. Wait. No, it had deliciousness in it. I did not put off recording this podcast. However, my computer was like, you haven't turned me on in a week. You know what that means. Just out of spite, I'm going to tell you to update every single thing. I was like, come on, bro. All these updates. Really? Shit. So it's taken a little longer than I would have liked, really. But here we are. And, as previously mentioned, a weird list of things this week because no TV, movies that not only have I seen before, but one of them is over 50 years old. Is that right? Yeah, it must be. Yeah. Anyway. I'll work that out when my brain works, which might be never. Some computer game stuff to talk about, but no VR, which we could kind of go into a little bit. Yeah, we'll see how we go. So, a while ago now, a good few months ago, I'd seen a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was centered around like the importance for children to see their not gonna lie, it focused on dads because it was a dad talking about it, and obviously it sort of come into my algorithm, would it be? because it probably worked out by now that I'm a dad. Anyway, I'm just trying to not come across as like sexist when I don't think it was sexist. It was talking about dads. So I'm a bit like, I don't really know how to get around this other than it was what it was. It was talking about the importance of your children seeing you work out. Now, what I would say to that is we all work out in different ways. So that doesn't necessarily mean lifting weights. I know a child that often spoke at length about how their dad ran 10 miles a day without fail. Just, there was no negotiation. Would run 10 miles a day, whether it fit in or it didn't. That was just one of those things. And I can vouch for that because I see them all over the place running around. Obviously, I have X number of things in my life that would be considered some form of working out, and at other points in time, I've had other things which I had children around doing, sort of thing. So I think there's a lot of different ways that we can work out as humans, but for what it said was for your daughters, the importance of seeing their dads work out is to see what they're supposed to. And this is where it gets sketchy, and I'm not going to lie. I can see both sides of this, but I'm just going to say it, and then it's out there. So your daughters can see what to expect in a man for potential, suitors, shall we say. However, obviously there is a multitude of different things there, especially nowadays that, they might grow up not looking for a man. They might grow up not looking for anyone. They might... There's so many variations of things. So... It's, I suppose as a statement, it's by this point probably a little outdated. And for our sons, it's important to see their fathers work out so that they know what they should be doing. Now, we could pull apart that in so many different ways. My son could turn around and say, I saw my dad work out X number of times. He was always in the gym, and I hated it. And he'd take me to football on a Sunday, and I hated it. And he'd be going climbing all the time, and I hated it. And he'd always go on about going out for a run, and I hated it. Not ideal, obviously. But I can say from my own experience, when I was a little boy, I was a very different person to I was over the many years of my sort of youth and teenage years and stuff. And then probably have come sort of, in some way, come kind of full circle. Different conversation for a different day. So, I'm trying to get this bit out of the way to cover the bit I'm actually trying to talk about. But there was this thing I was talking about, the importance of your children seeing you work out from a traditional male side of things and a traditional female side of things. And at the time I was like, that's kind of interesting, you kind of get where that's coming from, even if it's potentially outdated. One of my children might decide that they want to be a hobby horseist. What was the one I saw a little while ago that I was like, fingerboardist. I think it was the point where it referred to it as a sport, where I was like, all right. Anyway, so it's important. Now, from my perspective, One of my parents, I never saw work out even in the remotest. Never saw them run. Nothing. I can't tell you a single sporting activity. Nothing. Like a bit of football, maybe. That was largely, and I don't even really remember the actual football. Like, they were interested in football, watched football, and so on. But I mean, if you ask me, do you have a memory of that parent playing football? I'd be like, I absolutely do not. Which seems weird because I played a lot of football as a child. Other parent, a lot of there was some running at some point. I feel like there was something. There's a part of me that wants to say like yoga, but I don't think it was. I think there were like these very like the thing that immediately springs to mind is like Tai Bo, because that was like a thing in the 90s. I remember like boxercise or so, but I don't even think that doesn't. There was something. I have a terrible memory, but there was something, and that was about it. And you could argue that, maybe that was some part of the makeup that went into, the 30 stone version of me, or not. So, short version is it's important to be fit and healthy. And I have a variety of children. And those children have a variety of different things. Obviously, my son is he goes and does football. He goes and does swimming. He's absolutely jacked, which I sort of sometimes not like rip into him for, but I'm clearly jealous. The guy's ripped. It's like, bro, where'd you get them arms? Because they are hench. I have a daughter who is a rather accomplished runner and an exceptional climber. I have a daughter who can do these acrobatic feats that I look at and go, how the fuck have you done that? Like, she can get up onto the pull-up bar, but she's not tall enough to reach it. She monkeys up the door frame and gets onto the pull-up bar. I once saw her do the monkey bars at the park, forwards, backwards, and forwards again without stopping. And I'm like, dude, that is pretty incredible. Also, for a child that hasn't really had any swimming lessons, has taken to swimming like literally a duck to water. We were trying to do stuff in the swimming pool the other day, and she could do it because of her natural position in the water while swimming. And I'm like, even though you've not been taught to swim, you have managed to be able to do that just naturally. So she has this insane natural ability for sporting endeavours. I have a child who does a considerable amount of dancing and swimming, and I think given the opportunity would sit on the sofa instead. So there's this sort of wide range of abilities and wants and drives and needs and all sorts. So it's all going on. Last week, one of my children said the immortal line. When I said, right, I'm going to nip and do a workout, they said, Daddy, I want to do a workout. And I said, it depends what you mean when you say that, because you can't work out in certain ways. Now, I will caveat this. As a gift, I bought Leanne a set of weights. Went for like a little pre-done set. Mid-range, not too light, but not like super heavy. I've been telling her for far too long at this point that she needs to start doing some resistance training because of the journey that she is on will only take so far. And I keep telling her this. When you're in a weight loss journey and a fitness journey and so on and so on and so on, all of those things will only get you so far. You're going to have to hit some sort of resistance training at some point, and getting some little weights and doing some sort of little workouts is certainly going to help. So I'm like, My youngest daughter was there when I was putting the rack together for them. And then I set all the weights up and put them in the gym, and she was quite taken with them. Managed to damage them immediately, which is always a good start, and then proceeded to drop them several times past the initial damage, which is sort of her want and ability. So, Daddy, I want to do a workout. And I'm like, what is it you mean by that? I'm going to use the weights and stuff. And I was like, you're not allowed to use the weights because you are growing. You are a growing child, and you can potentially stunt your growth and this, that, and the other. Okay, well, I want to go on the treadmill. Well, you can't go on the treadmill because I'm going to go and work out and the treadmill will be in the way. Okay, are you going on the treadmill? I was like, not now, but later, yes. Oh, I'll go on the treadmill then. Okay. That was that. Done. None of that from her side happened. And that was the end of it. Or so I thought. Next day. Right, I've got to go and run. I've got to go do a workout. Daddy, I want to do a workout. Here we go. Okay, darling. What are you thinking? I'm going to do some of my weights. I was like, all right. And then I'm going to get on the treadmill. Okay. No, I don't want to discourage, because it's a healthy thing. This is what I was coming to. It's a healthy thing to be like, I want to do this. So I was like, oh, okay. So she comes in and she's like, literally throwing the tiny little weights around. I was like, yeah, I still don't want her doing it, but at least she's not doing it with the bigger ones or the heavier ones or ones that she could like hurt herself or others with. So I'm a bit like, it kind of keeps her quiet. It kind of, it's a good healthy thing. Daddy, are you going to get on the treadmill? I was like, I am. That was kind of the end of that. I was like, I am, yeah. Not now, obviously. I want to go on the treadmill. All right. I want to go on the treadmill. All right. I want to go on the treadmill. I was like, what, now? When I'm stood? Where the treadmill would go? No, like when you go on. Right, okay, that's fine. So she's doing all of her quote-unquote exercises, talking about the treadmill, all of this. I'm like, cool. Next day rolls around. I was like, right, I'm going to go do a workout. She's like, I want to do a workout. I'm like, for fuck's sake. So she comes and she's doing the weights and she's doing the, can I get on the treadmill and all that. And I like the fact that she's doing it. I like the fact that she's getting something from it. I like the fact that she's enjoying it. I like the fact that she wants to do it, and so on and so on and so on. But she talks to me while I'm counting. She talks to me while I'm counting and then waits for me to respond. But this is it. I'll be doing like 12 reps, and I'll go, Daddy, do you like this workout I'm doing? 6, 7, Daddy. Yes, darling. Do you like this workout I'm doing? It's great, I think it's real good. I'm not sure which muscle group you're working right now because you seem to be working 8 different muscle groups, but it's great. Okay. So by then I've done my rest. Right, I'll do another set of 12. 1, 2, 3. Daddy. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Daddy. Daddy. What? When I do this exercise, do you think it's good? Your 2 arms are doing different things. So I'm not entirely sure which muscle groups you're working. Because it looked like an Arnold press, which I was quite impressed with, and then it started looking like something that they would do in the 80s in like an aerobicized video. But yes, it looked good. Okay. Right, get this last set of 12 repped out and then I can move on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Daddy, for fuck's sake. Now, you guys know this by now. It's no secret. I am not a smart man. I am so dumb, I can't count and have a conversation. I don't know if that really constitutes what, is intelligence measured in can you count and have a conversation at the same time? Can anyone else? If so, you're a better man than I, and I just need to be like 1, 2, 3. But, yeah. So, big fan. Big fan of the fact that she wants to do the workouts. Big fan of the fact that she wants to get on the treadmill, even though I know it will take me longer to get her set up on the treadmill than she will be on the treadmill. But anyway, it's all positive. But now, from when she was a toddler, I taught her the number 1 thing in the gym is respect the gym. If you are in the gym, you are 40% more likely to have a horrific injury. So you have to respect things. You respect the bars, the weights, the bench, the dirt, every component in there. You respect. You stay out of the way when people are lifting. You stay out of the way when people... I've instilled this because it's been instilled into me over the X number of years I've been going into gyms. And now that there is a gym that I can go into freely and there aren't other people to worry about, I'm still like, you have to worry about other people and the equipment. You can die. We've all seen Pain and Gain. It's a real possibility you could die. Maybe in there I should have been teaching her about respecting the other people and their time in the gym, because as I've said before, it's part meditation. It is so close to meditation. Meditation teaches you to focus on one thing. Focus on your breath. Okay, working out a little bit different because you're focusing sometimes on your breath and counting and lift heavy thing. Fair enough, that's 3 things, so you're already out of meditation, but it is still a form of meditation. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to breathe. And lift heavy thing. It's so close to meditation that having it disturbed can disturb your calm. So I love it that she's in there and she's doing it and she's like, yeah, I want to go work out. Like even like, all of her siblings are here, all of her sisters are here and stuff, and obviously the fact that she absolutely adores them and loves the time that they're here. But I'm like, I'm just going to go and jump on the treadmill, and she's like, can I go on the treadmill? I'm like, maybe. A little bit of a sad thing to discuss. Obviously, there've been a couple of passings recently. Aussie, Hulk Hogan. If you've checked out the wrestling podcast from the point in time where Hulk Hogan passed, I gave my opinions, which was like it was very much a 50-50 opinion on the Hulk thing. Aussie's one of those. I think everybody was surprised they made it this far, and I think seeing that Black Sabbath tribute show, it kind of, I think it kind of gave you a heads up of what was to come. So no huge surprise, but still difficult to deal with. So you've got that. Then had a death a little closer to home. Somebody I work with has passed, and then a couple of days ago, I'd seen through the magic of social media somebody that I used to spend a bit of time with, a friend of a friend, and I sort of got into this sort of group of people, and we would go out, and admittedly, there was a considerable amount of drinking involved, and a lot of gigs, and a lot of nightclubs, and a lot of, did I mention the drinking? Like I say, somebody I spent quite a bit of time with, travelled all over the country and stuff for a variety of different reasons. Haven't had any contact with over the last 10 or so years. But obviously you've got that connection. You spent that time with someone, and you've got that side of things. Like I say, through the magic of social media, seeing that they'd passed last week, and I was just like, famous people die. You have that sort of like, because they're famous and you know them for whatever reason, when they pass away, it hits you a little bit differently, because it's somebody that you feel like you know, but you also know you don't know them. I read Aussie's book not too long ago. And as far as Hulk Hogan's concerned, barring the last few years of his life where I sort of largely tuned him out, like I said in that podcast, he was the face of wrestling. You can't really get away from that. Almost an entire industry was built off that man's back, so whatever. Then, I've got the fact that a lady I worked with passed away, who I always had a lot of time for, and, I got on with very well, and then somebody who I at one point in time spent a lot of time with, and it's just that thing of, fuck, bro, is it an age thing? You know what they say, the older you get, the more people pass away. It's just so hard, and so many, and so quick, such a quick succession. You always have that thing where you reflect on your own life. I was letting the dog out the other evening and thinking about like these like people who have passed away recently, and like coming back in through the door and being like, a few years back, I would have talked about it at length on the podcast, but a few years back, I was just obsessed with death. What happens the other side of this? And I'd seen this quote that was like, what happens when you die? What happens to you? And all this, that, and the other. And somebody said, do you remember what happened before you were born? And they were like, no. It's like, it's that. I was like, fuck, bro, that's fucking heavy. And I sort of recently got a little bit more bogged down in, what will it look like? And you've got that thing of death is for the living, because ultimately you're not there anymore. It's tough, man. It's real tough. Immediately it's like, You think about your children, like I look at the dog who I'm looking at now, thinking, will you outlive me? Will I outlive you? Which is it? I reckon he's probably got a good 10 years left in him. Have I? You know, it's that... Can you measure yourself in somebody else's life span? So, yeah, it's like... And then... What had I seen? Watch something where, like, people... I don't think it was... I don't think it was anything to do with Ozzy's funeral. I think it was... I don't know. There was some relevance of somebody watching, like dealing with the passing of someone, and I was thinking about, like, my children will have to have that element of, you know, dealing with that, and what will they say? You know, I honestly think at this point in time, my eldest daughter is going to be like, the man never shut up about protein. All he did was talk about protein and calories towards, like, you know, a certain point. So all he did, just talked about protein. I find myself, like, having to stop myself because I'm like, oh, I found out that this had this much protein in. That's good, isn't it? A while ago, I feel like it's a subject that I feel like it's a subject that I talk about at various intervals because it is something that comes in various intervals. But I've had a week of me being a complete and utter fucking disaster area. Oh my God. I have these points where I'm like, have I got, what is it, like dyspraxia or whatever it is, where, man, I like every single thing has to go on the floor. I drop everything. Drop my phone down the stairs the other evening. Like, anytime I prepare a meal, 30% of the food I put in my mouth has been on the floor in the last hour. And I do it, and I'm like, oh, you know, what doesn't kill you makes stronger? It's like, no. Ever heard of polio? So, just, and then it starts, it's so fucking annoying, it's so infuriating, but then it just becomes funny. And, you know, when you're like, oh, I've dropped this thing again. I was putting some Lego together and I dropped the same piece of Lego on the floor 3 times. And I was just like, yeah, let's drop it again. How about I tip the entire bag of fucking Lego on the floor and just build it off the floor, shall I? And I'm like that when I'm making a meal. Oh, look, this piece of pepper went on the floor. What a fucking surprise. Who could have seen that coming other than it's just that constantly. But also, you put that and the fact that people are dying left, right, and centre together, and I'm like, is this me rocketing myself towards death? Am I going to end up, like, dropping the wrong item? And I don't know. I'm like, do I spend much time dropping flammable items? I had a situation the other day where I was like, oh, this could be it, because, like, I had a pan that was getting a little bit lively. I was like, maybe it's just going to explode and kill everybody. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Because I'm such a fucking disaster area at the moment. And, you know, when you start playing it through, you're like, am I tired? Am I... You know, I start thinking things like, is my blood sugar low? That was the one from the other day. I was like, maybe I've got low blood sugar. I came out of the gym this evening and I was trying to do, you know that thing, you got too much going on. I was trying to do too many things at once. And one of those things was to chop some vegetables, both for the children's tea and for my tea. So I was like, I'll chop a load of veg. And I'd come out of the gym. It was a terrible idea. I had a monster workout. I come out and I'm trying to use a giant sharp knife while chopping something that is not too sturdy or stable. So obviously part of the carrot went on the floor and I nearly chopped a hand off. And it's stuff like that. How did you lose a hand? Chopped it off in a carrot accident. Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Oh, fucking disaster, man. Interesting one for you. Last week, back end of the week, I was losing weight. Not going to lie, and this is the bit that's a little bit, absolutely no idea why. Was freaked out. So, fasted Wednesday as per, I think at that point the weight had been going up and up and up as it does through that early part of the week. I imagine if I step on the scales tomorrow, it'll be like, bro, the fuck did you do yesterday? Anyway, different story. So, had my fasted Wednesday, weighed in, was like, cool, I've dropped like, I think it was like 3 or 4 pounds or whatever. It's like, cool, job done. Let's move on with the week. Had like day 1, put on a pound. I was like, that's low. Day 2, lost said pound. Was like, huh? Day 3, put some back on, but not enough to go back into like the pound region. Day 4, I'm like, well, it's happening right now because I lost the weight again. On Saturday, day before a Sunday fast, I came in weighing what I did on Monday. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Now then, I will say this. 2 distinct changes. I was saying I don't know what it was, and I don't, but I can shed this bit of light. Found myself over those days, like, because I do intermittent fasting anyway, like on just a normal day, I won't eat until well into the afternoon. You're looking on average, I would say 2 o'clock on average, sometimes a little bit sooner, depending on like lunch at work sort of thing. But you're looking like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, coming off the back of a fast, then not eating until 2 in the afternoon. Maybe that had something to do with it. But I basically ate lunch, had like a super high protein tea in the evening, lots of veg and stuff. And that was when I didn't really put any weight on. But I was like, over those 2 meals, I won't have blown through my calories. I'll have come in fairly well under my calories and had it in this really short like eating window. So I was like, okay. That was Thursday. Friday, insanely busy. But wanted to also keep the food low. So I didn't eat anything until my tea. I had a protein shake earlier in the day, but I didn't eat until my tea. Taking me into Saturday. So Saturday comes round, I'm the same weight as Monday and like, WTF. Typically, come Sunday, where my Saturday brain's like, cheat meal then, yeah? I was like, Sunday, coming a couple of pounds heavier. However, going into a Sunday fast, ready to hit the Monday. Monday final weigh-in, I was 4 ounces off my lowest weight, which technically means that if the way things have been going keeps tracking, this trend keeps tracking, in theory, next Monday could come in lowest weight. Could. I'm always very dubious at this point in time because I'm like, is it going to though? Do we think it's going to? I don't know. Final thing for the week. Bit of a weird old week this week. It is week 3 of the summer holidays, and week 3 of the summer holidays is a big old family week. My son was the only person who was not here today. He was off doing his, weekly stuff. For him, he doesn't have summer holidays, so his week just carries on. So he was not here today. However, everybody else had this super elaborate plan. Going to get some big ticket items ticked off. And the weatherman was like, nah, brah. Absolutely tanked it down all morning. So, had to do a bit of a change. And in the end, it was like, right, we've spoken a couple of times about us all going and doing like a family climbing session. Me and Leanne almost never climb together. Me, Leanne, and my eldest. We were trying to work out if it had ever happened. Now it has, because we've all been as a family before, but we've not climbed together. And I worked out that there was a way that the three of us could climb while the others weren't. And then my younger two daughters, who have different levels of interest in climbing. I think given the opportunity, they wouldn't do it, but are also happy to do it to a degree. I knew that my youngest daughter was going to be a problem, because she generally is, until you've been there about half an hour and then she's off like a rocket. And I was kind of like, I'm not really wanting to have to deal with that first half an hour. So I was like, I've got a plan. Here is the idea that we're gonna have a little competition. We're gonna do this, and this, and if you get this many points, then I'll get you a cake. Little buggers managed to get a drink out of me as well. And that's because I'm a soft touch, because I told one of them, no, you do not need a drink. You're having a cake. There you go. Good parenting, firm hand, all of that. And then the other one was like, can we get a drink? I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, whatever. So there you go. There's my parenting style. So, if I'm honest, I think there's this thing at the moment where Leanne was like probably, she was certainly the best climber at a particular point in time. She was going well, she was on with it, and then she had an operation and was out of action for a month. I used that opportunity to not only steal all of her climbing sessions, but also improve as a climber. Think my eldest has kind of seen the writing on the wall and has gone, well, I'm not going to let you fuckers beat me. And her climbing level has gone up as well, in line. So now we're all in this sort of thing where, like, Leanne will be like, oh, you know that thing you said you couldn't do? I'm like, yeah. She was like, I managed to do it first time. I'm like, fuck you. Then I'm like talking to my eldest, I'm like, oh, I managed to do this, you know, that thing you can't do. And she's like, all right. And then she'll just go and do something else that I then can't do. So I keep saying, like, well, I'm the best climber. And then my daughter will be like, yeah, but can you do this? I'm like, nope. Oh, so that makes me the best climber. So we had a bit of a thing this morning where my eldest was like, oh, flash this. It's like, cool. So Leanne's like, I think we can do it. I think we can get it. I'm like, all right. So we go over. And she's like, right, I'm going to have a go. She has a go and doesn't manage it. I was like, right, okay, well, I've seen you do it and I know she can do it. So I'm definitely going to be able to do it. So I have a go, can't do it. So me and Leanne have a couple of goes each. Then my eldest comes back. She's like, oh, can't you do it? Oh, do you want me to show you? Here, let me show you. And then she does it. And not only does she do it, she's like skipping holds and going straight up the middle and stuff. And I'm like, you swine. So there was a lot of that going on. The younger guys managed to get their cake and their drink, so they were happy doing that. But it's kind of nice. I kind of like it. Like I was talking to somebody at the weekend, and Ed was like, "Yeah, but he uses his daughter as a what is it like?" She spurs me on to be a better, and they were like, I was like, no, it's actually true. It's genuinely true. I wait for her to be able to do something, and then I spend like an entire week working on it to try and be able to do it, or to do something else that's better. And so that I genuinely do, which hasn't helped the fact that she has decided to go up a level, and I'm like, shit. But it's nice that it gives me something to work towards. Couple of movies this week, and the movies might strike you as strange. One, it fits into a category, and the other, I'll explain. So, keeping in line with watching what I consider to be perfect movies, I watched Dredd. Now then, I know what you're thinking. Didn't you watch The Raid recently? I did indeed. I could always watch Attack the Block. Dredd is on the list of a perfect movie. It is largely a perfect movie. It does reek of The Raid, but there was a lot of films around that time that did the Raid format, and obviously then The Raid went and had a sequel, and there is talk of there being a Dredd sequel, which you kind of wonder what that would look like. I've seen it many times. I used to own it in 3D, and not going to lie, it was fucking awesome in 3D. I used to like 3D. I owned a 3D TV. I had all the glasses. We had the whole shebang. We had the surround sound. I was telling my eldest that she should watch Avatar, which reminded me that I owned Avatar in 3D, and I was kind of like, honestly, there were a few experiences you could have, especially in your own home, that were as good as watching Avatar in 3D. So, Dredd in 3D was chef's kiss. I still own it in 3D. I just don't own a 3D TV. And owning a 3D Blu-ray means you have a Blu-ray copy of it so you can still watch it. I, however, watched it on Prime, I'm going to say. Speaking of movies that I own and then had to repurchase, got into a conversation. So my eldest has been going, I've got like this list of films for my eldest to watch. Some of them fall into categories that are out of her age range at the moment, but they're just on there as like, when you're a bit older, you should watch this. So we went through a bit of a musical phase. I have a history of quite enjoying the odd musical here and there. I was raised on classic musicals. My eldest watched Little Shop of Horrors recently and enjoyed it. And she was like, I would like to watch The Producers. Now then, this is in some ways a difficult subject for me because The Producers is one of my favourite films. And I think I've said this before. I saw it on the stage in London, which was up there as one of my favourite sort of experiences. Just a film that I adore, to be able to see like a different version of it and be able to see it live, etc., was fantastic. So she's like, I want to watch The Producers. I'm like, let me check the rating first. Well, it's a PG, which, okay. 2 different dates for when it was made. It was either 1967 or 1968, so 50 per years old. I'm like, it's a PG. It's got a couple of moments where I'd be like, sure it's PG. And realistically, one of the main subject matters about that film is a bit like, how do you explain this to a child? Sometimes I have to remind myself that my daughter is not necessarily a child. And I would say she was mature for her age. There were certain things that I look at and go, you can absolutely watch that. We did it this evening. I was like, I think you can watch Fast and the Furious. And it turned out she could anyway because it had had its rating recategorized. So she's like, I want to watch The Producers. I'm like, okay, it's PG. It's got some strange themes, which I think played differently at a different time. And you know when you're like, I'm trying to find a reason for you to not watch this because I don't know if you're going to get it. And if you don't get it, it's going to be really difficult. Really difficult for me personally. So, I'm like, I don't know if I want you to watch it. Because if you don't like it, I think I'll be upset. That's not it. It's hard to explain because I'm a bit like, I wouldn't be upset. I'd just be disappointed. No. I know my children aren't going to like the same things as me. There's just not going to be a possible thing. They're just not going to enjoy the same things as me. I get it. But if there is something that you truly love and you sort of opening your heart that little bit, you're like cracking the door on your heart to say, look, I really love this. And if you love it too, that's great. But if you don't, you're kind of like, almost like you're telling me that my love's wrong sort of thing. So I had all of these internal debates and I was like, I can't. Ultimately, you just got to let the chips fall where they may. So I said, right, let's do it. So I put it on. And through the beginning, I was like, I've got to go and sort your siblings out. I've got to get them to bed. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to do the other. So I'm going to miss like this bit and this bit and this bit. There were points where I heard her laughing from the room. And I was like, oh, she likes it. I go in, I sit down. Now, The Producers work along a line where it has like, if you imagine like the heartbeat, I was going to say CT scan, no, like the heartbeat thing. Well, it works along a line, then every now and then it's like, the beep is like a laughter thing. So there's like points where you're like, that's funny. And that's funny. Oh, hilarious. But it's certainly, that line is on an incline. So as it goes along, it just gets more insane, more crazy, more funny, and it just goes and goes and goes. Once you hit a particular point in that film, it turns into an absolute riot. So there was a point where I think I was like getting the others to bed and stuff, and I was in and out and all this. And Lamb was like, I keep hearing her laughing from through here. And I was like, yeah, I know, she's a proper enjoying it. So I get back and we get into like the back end where it's just big laughs in the back end of that film. Like when they have the play and stuff, it's just laugh after laugh after laugh, and they're big laughs. And there are points where it's like that shock laughter where you're like, I cannot believe I'm seeing this. And it's hilarious. So she was proper laughing. And I'm like, I'm glad she's enjoying it. But at the same time, I was like, oh, she likes it. So I was like, that was a dear experience for me that she's enjoyed. One of my favourite films. And we both sat and just howled with laughter at like certain bits. There was one moment where they show one shot and she was just like, no way. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the bit. And she was proper laughing and I was like, this is fun. Speaking of fun, we have both been enjoying some DC Universe Online. It's gone through quite significant changes since I last played, and it's a game I've played a lot, but it changes so much that you can't really keep up with its changes. Some stuff's great, we're able to play together quite easily. You can sort of sync the games up. But we are really struggling to sync the missions up. So her missions, because she's got a different mentor, her missions are like, go over here and do this. And mine are like, yeah, go in the opposite direction and do something completely different. There seems to be a strange leveling system, which now I think about it, I think I've been stealing her experience because I'm telling her to join my game. So I'm thinking she's not getting the experience. So I'm now thinking that like I'm going to have to show her how to get me to join her game and see if she levels up any better that way. I will hold my hands up on this one and say this. And this will sound bad to start with, but I wasn't convinced she was going to be able to do it. I thought she would like give it a try, not really get to grips with it, not really be able to handle it, and just ultimately just give up. Now, that might be something historic that may have happened in the past. But what's nice and in some ways quite surprising is that not only is she seems to be enjoying it, she wants to play it, she can do it. And yeah, there are some stumbling blocks, but in some ways it's quite a complicated game, and in other ways it's quite easy. So we've been like doing it, proper playing, and like I'll be like, right, we're going here, follow me, and she'll be like, okay, and she does. And then we get there, and I'm like, right, once we get there, don't do this, but make sure you do that, and do this and do that. And the best one being was we went to this area, I was like, whatever you do not aggravate that enemy. If you aggravate that enemy is going to attack both of us and they will kill us dead. She was like, okay, I won't do that. And about 8 seconds later, I was like, I've aggravated that enemy and now I'm dead. And even like lands down the other end of the room, and I went, damn it. She was like, did you aggravate that enemy by any chance? I was like, She was like, did you get killed? I was like, yep. She's like, thought so. So obviously a lot of fun to be had there, just like poking fun at me and how shit I am at games. Speaking of being shit at games, I am playing, which is a loose way of saying I am playing a different version of Elden Ring more than I'm playing the first version that I started. I have Elden Ring on Steam. I have Elden Ring on the PS5. There was this plan. I have not stuck to that plan in any way, shape or form, which has put me in a position where, no surprises, I absolutely fucked my PlayStation 5 version of Elden Ring. Killed someone who the walkthrough said, do not kill this person. They are a merchant and a quest giver. Accidentally killed them. Spent the entire game going, why can't I summon anything? I can't summon the wolves. I can't summon the skeletons. I can't do this. I'm doing all of my fights on my own. What the hell? I was sending like a friend of mine like pictures like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? I went in to fight a boss and I'm trying to summon and the guy's shaking his head and I'm like, what the fuck? Googled it and it was like, make sure you've got this, make sure your connection's working. I was like, it's not a connection issue, it's a fucking game problem. And there was like these things, it was like, maybe your game's broken. And I'm like, well, that would be about fucking right, wouldn't it? And after about 10 different Google searches, I stumbled across one that was like, obviously, make sure you've got the summoning spirit bell thing, whatever the fuck it's called. And I was like, I saw that in that shop. And I don't think I bought it really early on in the game. You fucking moron. So I went to the game and I went to the shop that I was sure I'd seen this bell, and I saw the bell and it was there and I hadn't bought it. And it was 100 ruins, which is next to nothing. And I went, you're a fucking idiot. This is why you shouldn't be playing this game. Now then, on the other hand, although it's been tough going, and I am royally fucking this version of the game, I am now up to where I am on the PS5 that I am up to on Steam. Which unfortunately for everybody involved means that there's no reason for me to not continue playing the game. And I've got the first big major boss to deal with, and I am shitting bricks. I've seen many videos, some videos where people have just tried to fight the boss normally, some videos where people are like super overpowered. The last I checked, I was like level 63 or 64, and Sam's like, you are so over leveled for these bosses, you should have nothing to worry about. And I am like, let me remind you, I am shit at computer games, and this is one of the hardest games there is. I got killed by a goblin. Just some fucking goblin that dropped out of a ceiling at one point, who was super fast and killed me dead. So don't tell me that I'm overpowered for these bosses. However, unfortunately, unless I decide to give up on the game completely and just walk off into the sunset, I am going to have to fight this boss. So stay tuned for that one. It's not going to be today. I will say that. Finally, another computer game, but one that's... I said to someone, Elden Ring has ruined me for other games. And unfortunately, the other game I am playing is like the opposite of Elden Ring. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, which ultimately is largely just a time-wasting exercise. I cannot get over the mission structure of, you are here talking to me, meet me 3,000 meters that direction for another chat. Hey, how about we have a conversation right here, right now, pal? Yeah? No? Okay then. And you toddle off 3,000 meters in that direction, and you do a little bit of something, and then you have another conversation with that character, and they're like, cool, meet me 5,000 meters that way, the opposite direction to where we are right now. We will have another chat. And I'm like, why don't you fuck off? Because honestly, I'm pretty sure you are just here to waste my motherfucking time. And as the guy, whatever his character was, Gary Oldman's character in Leon said, don't waste my motherfucking time. No, that's not how he said that, but I'm not going to do it because everyone's in bed. I really wanted this game to be more than it is. Like I say, it just appears to be some kind of time-wasting exercise. I don't get it. I don't get what the objective is. Oh, this game's 100 hours. Easy, 100 hours. Okay. Is 98 hours of it going from one side of the map to the other on a horse that I don't do anything to control because I just tell the horse to go to the map marker and do it on its own? Is it that? Because if it is, it's the fucking point. Yeah, I gave you 100 hours of my life. I didn't really do anything for that time. I just told the horse to take me there. So it's weird. I'm not really getting what it's aiming for. When you're doing like the missions and stuff, it's really good. Like the combat's good, the leveling system's good, and so on and so forth. But honestly, go here, go there, go to this place that you can't fast travel, go to another place you can't fast travel. Make sure you use the horse. Make sure your phone's charged so you can go on to social media while you wait for your horse to travel for 5,000 meters. Yeah. Anyway, that's the podcast. Thank you for being here, and I will catch you next time. So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done, another one gone. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, if you haven't already, because you may already be one of the many members of the CookieCast crew, please consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave any reviews that you feel like leaving wherever you can leave them. There's many places that will accept reviews. If you've got a couple of minutes on your hands, please do consider leaving one. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. That way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.